Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ice Cold Takes podcast. I'm your host, Joey DeMeglio, and this week I am joined, over the phone, I might add, by Kyle Hall of the Broadway Hat podcast once again. If you haven't listened to his show, make sure you go check it out. He's got big guests every single week. It's incredible. I don't know how he does it, especially now with a new child. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Yeah, I'm sorry you can't see my beautiful face today. A face made for radio anyway, but yeah, thanks for having me on as always.
I had that no problem. I had that joke. I heard that joke the last week. I think Statboy Steven was mentioned that one to me. But today we'll be talking about the first half of the Rangers, giving our grades and takeaways, and we'll also talk about the opportunity Alexis Lafrenière has with Chris Kreider out due to injury. And Ice Cold Takes is a proud member of the Old City Sports Network. Make sure you follow Old City Sports on Twitter and subscribe on YouTube to catch up with the rest of the NHL, NFL, and MLB. Uh, Anyways, we'll get right into it, Kyle. First half assessment for the Rangers. If you had to give a grade for the team overall, what are we, 42 games in, 41, a little over halfway? What grade would you give them?
To start the season off, it was like, what the hell's happening, right? It's like this team just went to the conference finals. Like, what it almost looked like they were like a brand new team, like just coming together, and finally they put it all together now. And they look great. I give them I'll give them a B. I give them a B. I think that a lot of the guys that need to step up have stepped up. I love the fact that my guy Keandre Miller is on fire right now. He was like
Oh
my
yeah.
big take. My big take before the year was that Keandre Miller is gonna have a breakout season, and he has. Again, and he's a guy same as the Rangers. I mean, he started off terrible in the season. He was
Mm-hmm.
real bad to open the year up, and as Trouba's gotten worse, he's gotten better, which is pretty funny on that pairing.
Yeah.
But no, I'll give them a B. I think there's a lot of room to grow there. Um, but hey, I mean, this division, which I'm sure we'll get into it, this division, this conference, the fact that they're halfway through the season in third place right now, just that, were they 2 points back a second?
Yeah.
I mean, from where they started to where they are now, I mean, I think any Ranger fan would sign up for this right now.
Right. Yeah. We've both talked to Don LaGreca on our shows before, and he says on his podcast, like, you might have a team that gets 100 points and doesn't make the playoffs, which would be
Yeah,
crazy. That would be nuts. But overall, I was thinking the same thing as you, a B, but I'll go with the B minus.
okay.
I thought the start was, even strength play while they weren't getting the goals. I was happy that they were dominating like the zone time. They had the puck. It wasn't like Shesterkin was doing all the work. It was just that they kept hitting the post. That seems to be the theme so far this year, is that they could get so close, but can't find the twine. They keep hitting iron instead of the back of the net. What is
Yeah.
it? Well over 50 times now that they've hit the post or the crossbar with their chances. But yeah, like that stretch where they had that losing streak where they kept blowing leads, like to Detroit, to the Devils, to the Oilers. That was where I was like, all right, what's going on here? I think that was around the 15 game mark where things started going south, and I think Gallant started playing a little too much with the line combinations. Now you see Kreider's advantage and Capo Caco. That game against Minnesota, they look great.
Kako's looked great recently. I think
Yeah.
he looks at home on that top line. We'll see how Lafreniere performs, getting his big chance now. But yeah, I think Gallant likes to juggle these lines up, but I kind of like where they are now. I like him giving Kratzoff a better look at the top six. I think he's played better. Maybe gets a little too fancy in the offensive zone. Maybe tries to do a little bit too much Panarin stick handling
Mm.
work and kind of gets beat sometimes. But I like them giving him a chance. I we'll get into the Barclay Goodrow talk later on, but I like the fact that he's playing him back in the bottom six for the most of the game because that's really where he excels. Having him on a third or fourth line that really lengthens your lineup out. So I like him down there. Listen, Jimmy Vesey took a lot of heat before the season, and
Mm.
he's been really good for the Rangers. He's been very strong defensively. He's chipped in offensively. He got an extension, which is crazy to see. he went from a guy who basically no one wanted him in the offseason to a PTO deal in New York to now working his way into a lineup to now an extension. It's kind of crazy to see his resurgence back in New York. But he's played really well in the third line role. I liked him in the third line role. I saw someone, I don't know who put it out there, but I saw someone said they wanted to see maybe Trocheck move down to a third line with VC and Goodrow and form like a shutdown line, which I think would be pretty cool. I think that would be like a nice playoff line because my guy Phil Hedl is killing it. And if that guy can stay healthy, I mean, he before the year started, I'm like, he's gonna be the guy. Like, he's a kid who I think is gonna be the one to watch this year. And I hated the fact that he was in all these trade talks. And I'm like, I think there's lots in the playoffs. He's a natural goal scorer. He's always been that way. Yeah, he's taken a long time to develop. I think he's like the third longest tenure Ranger. When it's crazy when you think about that.
Yeah, and he's only like what 23.
He's 23 or 20. Yeah, whatever he is. He played games at 17 or whatever old he was when he first got there. But he's come a long way. And if he can stay healthy, I mean, I don't know why the Rangers. I understand maybe he'd want more of a contract, but I feel as though you have three really solid centermen. Then, if you have Hedl on that team at not a major contract coming up in the near future, but when you look at the cap situation, I feel like you need a Hedl, like someone like that who's a proven goal scorer that can play anywhere in your top 9, because you're gonna be strapped for cash this offseason with Keandre Miller's extension coming up. And that kid's gonna make some money. He's gonna make some money after this year, so. That's a big question mark for the Rangers. And hey, Halak's looked good, which I think no one's really talking about. He looked like he was lost on the ice to start the year off, and he's really had a nice bounce back. And I was joking around on my Twitter because he was it Dave Art is the one who does all the masks. Like, he's the big guy who does the goalie masks. And he put out after Halak was like 0-6. He's like, oh, new mask for Jaro. And I'm like, all right, maybe let's give some more juju to this guy. Let's change it up. And I think he's like 3-1 since he's gotten the mask. He's played a lot better. So maybe it was all the mask's fault, but he's looked a lot better. And then Igor, I mean, he's unbelievable. He's incredible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, incredible. Yeah, of course, all-star worthy for him. You could pick a number of guys on the Rangers this year. Like, honestly, I think Keandre Miller should be an all-star and Adam Fox. Like, I would pick those guys over Panarin and Zibanejad. If to be honest, that's just for me. Philip Hedl, like you brought up, yeah, I've loved him. He's a great as a third liner. It's like overkill for him. I feel like he'd be better paired if he was with Panarin because, like you said, he's a natural shooter. He likes to shoot the puck, and we don't have a single player on this team really that wants to shoot the puck past the goaltender. There's no Marian Gaborik on maybe Zibanejad, but he likes to pass the puck to his buddy Kreider all the time. The Rangers, if anything, I know there's been a lot of talk about, let's see if the Rangers make a move for Ryan O'Reilly. I love O'Reilly, but I would rather them go for a winger like a Tarasenko or Patrick Kane before they
100%.
even go after a center. Also even like a defender too. Like, Harper's been fine with Schneider. I mean, it's not been like amazing, but for a third pair, it's been okay. Like, the one defenseman I keep going back to would be like Gavrikov from Columbus. That would be a great pickup, I think. But yeah, Barclay Goodrow too. To what you were saying, I think he can't be pulling all the weight. If you put him in the top 6, it's like asking him to do too much. I know they say that whatever role they give him, he does it really well. But he's so much better in the bottom 6 in the bottom 6 than he is in the top 6. So, like, if he's the fourth liner, when he was with Tampa Bay, he wasn't pulling all the weight. Like, he had 2 other line mates that were doing a great job in Gord and Coleman. I think Gord was pulling all the weight on that line, and Coleman and Goudreau were the support pieces there. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that he can't be the guy that's pulling all the weight. Like, all the other teammates. Like, if he was with Trocheck and VZ, I think that would be a good line. I was a big fan of the Kreider, Trocheck, VZ line before they broke that up. I thought that was the best third line that the Rangers could possibly put out there.
Yeah, and I had Colin Stevenson on my show from Newsday, and we're talking about the lines, and Gallant, he was saying Gallant does not want to break up Zibanejad and Kreider. Like, no matter what, they're always going to go back together again, and he doesn't want to break up Trocheck and Panarin. I think Trocheck and Panarin comes down to a money issue, right? Like if you're paying Trocheck all this money, he can't be a third line centerman, right? It's one of those things where Barclay Goodrow, he's making all this money, you gotta utilize the guy. He's making $3 million a year, which is a lot for a bottom six player. I like the fact that they move him late in games. They'll play him because that's his style of play, blocking shots, defensive style. You want to take Kravtsov off that line for the last couple of shifts, like that's fine with me. But yeah, no, the entire game he's much better in that, much better served in the bottom six role. But yeah, I think I like that Trocheck Kreider line a lot with DC. I think they gelled really well together too.
Right, because they're all north-south players. They even
Yeah,
said that.
yeah, I think, and apparently like they all know each other from like when they were younger too or something. Like Trocheck played hockey with the two of them in like Massachusetts, even though he's from Pittsburgh, somehow he played in Massachusetts. I don't know. Whole big thing about that too. But yeah, the guy. I think now the question is that fourth line, like Sammy Blais, like is he gonna stick around? Like what is his deal? Like I think Julian Gutierrez played great. I think
Mm.
I know you. I see your post about him, but I see I see it all the time. I laugh, but from what the guy is, what he's supposed to do, he's doing. Like yeah, he's not finishing goals, but hey, he's doing better than he was.
Right.
And I
He's
think
making
like
an impact.
yeah, he's making an impact. He still draws penalties. Like I would rather have him than Sammy Blais in the lineup right
Of
now.
course.
I'm surprised they haven't recalled Ryan Carpenter yet from Hartford because he's tearing it up down there. And the fact that they brought up Rydall last week instead of him, and now they just picked up Jake Lecision off waivers, another fourth line centerman player. It kind of shows me that they don't believe in Carpenter at all, even though he's putting up nice numbers in Hartford. For whatever reason, they didn't like what they saw of him. He's a 1-year deal, whatever. They move on. But what does that mean for Brodzinski? Is he gonna stick around? Because he's a guy who shoots the puck, and I like that.
Yeah.
He shoots the puck. He can kill penalties. He hasn't really gotten like the longest run at the NHL level. He's kind of bounced back and forth a lot. But it kind of seems like maybe the writing on the wall is there for him too with Lecision here. It was a weird move picking that kid up. I understand he's 23 years old, but you kind of have a lot of those same type players in your system right now, which is odd considering someone's going to have to go down to save some cap.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like an AHL fodder move. Like I think AHL Hartford is struggling right now, and they have struggled all year. So I don't know. Maybe I doubt this, but maybe Drury's trying to fix it on the fly during the season. What really bothered me was like in the past few weeks there's been some big names on waivers like Ellie Tolvanen and Jacob Verana. Those are huge names on waivers, and you would think like maybe Drury would put in a claim for one of those guys. Tolvanen especially, I think
Yeah.
would be a cool pickup, like maybe a third line player, and if he doesn't work out as a third line, or maybe a fourth line player. And then also, like, you could use him in the AHL too because he's young and he's got talent or whatever. And Brana too. I didn't understand why no GM put in a claim for that guy. Like, that's just insane. Like, that guy
There's got to be something else there.
Yeah,
It's one of
yeah.
those
I
things.
was
There's got to
thinking
be
that.
something else. I know he's had
I
some
haven't
abuse
read
and
too
everything.
much into it. Yeah, but
Also,
I
a big contract, $5 million a year.
there you go. There you go. All right, yeah. So there's that. Going back to your point about like the money, I know you talked to Colin Stevenson, and like I see what he means. Like, okay, so it might be a money issue, or what if that's you that's saying that. It might be a
That's
money.
me. Yeah, that's me
Okay.
saying that.
Yeah, like it might be a money issue, but like I see these other teams like they spread out their scoring. Like Sam Bennett for the Panthers, he was like a third line player. Anthony Duclair was like a third line player. Like you play them where they're best suited. Like it doesn't matter if as long as you're getting the wins. Like I understand that. Like okay, if you're giving Trocheck like 5 million a year, 5.5 over 5.5 million a year, um, he'll get his ice time like on the power play and killing penalties. Like that's bound to happen during the game. He doesn't have to be second line. So you understand what I'm saying?
No, I got you. Yeah, I just think like if you're the owner or you're Chris Drury and you're paying these guys, right? Like you want to see them in that spot. I don't know.
I see. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if we're paying you to be a top 6 player, you better be a top 6 player. But I mean,
Ah,
they move him around. They move him around. Like they found lightning in a bottle there for those 11 games with those new lines. But I just think, like Colin was saying, like Gallant has said in training camp, he said here, like he has these lines in his head. Like he knows what he wants. So eventually, he's just gonna do what he wants to do. He just needs a reason to go back to it. Like when your team's winning 8 games in a row or 7 games in a row, and you're 11-2-1, it's very tough for you to say like, I'm going back to these lines because I want to while they're
right.
working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But like come playoff time, I would, barring something crazy happening, like it's gonna be Trocheck, Panarin, and someone, and it's gonna be Kreider, Zibanejad, and someone. And I hope it's Kako on the top line
Oh
because every
yeah.
time they take that kid off the top line, that line sinks again. And I don't understand why they don't keep him there. The other guy who I know it messes a lot of things up, but I would like to see Heedle get a chance in the top 6. Like maybe not
Yeah.
even at
Yep.
center, maybe on a wing, because that kid shoots the puck.
A lot of people say, yeah, a lot of people say he still looks better on the wing than he does at center. I think
Yeah.
he's improved significantly in the dot. I think the center ice position he's gotten a lot better, a lot better. Maybe, yeah, like you said, he shoots the puck and he's not afraid to. Like he calls for it too, which I love. I love that he's the trigger man. That's
Yeah.
why I keep saying like it's the chemistry or the play styles would work out better with him and Panarin. All he wants to do is just pass the puck. He has a great shot. He just doesn't use it anymore.
It
It's been the
annoys
theme the
me.
past 2 years.
It annoys me so much the chances he passes up on him. And listen, he's incredible, and Fox is incredible. But the
Oh
two of
yeah,
them always just look for that extra pass, which I understand. It could be a tapping goal on the other side, but still, just shoot the puck. Like Fox had a one timer, like he is like T went up a one timer the other night from the slot, and I was so happy. I'm like, that's the first time I've ever seen him take a slap shot from the slot instead of like
yeah,
doing like a snap pass to someone. I'm like, that's awesome. Like,
right.
I love that. But
Also,
yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
Heedle will rip the puck, man.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And also, I like going back to Capo Caco. In that game against Minnesota in the first period, he was on a tear. Like, he drew a penalty. I think it was on Zuccarello. He drew the penalty on. You saw he was on the half wall and he cut into the
Yep.
middle. No one on the team does it anymore. No one cuts into the middle like that. Like we would see Panarin do that on the regular, his first year with the team, under David Quinn, but we don't see it too much anymore. And when he did that, that was just, oh my gosh, like this needs to happen more. Kako is playing, he's flying out there. He's so much confidence. He wouldn't even think of doing that like under David Quinn because he'd be so
Yeah.
concerned about getting benched. And so what I keep seeing people say like, oh, Gerard Gallant is when the kids make a mistake, he's gonna bench them. Like I don't think that's true because Kako's made many mistakes this year, and what has Gallant done? He's put him right back out there. He's got a lot of faith in him. It's just
Yeah.
that when Barclay Goodrow makes a really obvious turnover to Jack Hughes on Saturday, I know you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he doesn't do anything about it, it brings up the concern level amongst the fan base.
Listen, it was a great pass Goodrow made to him for the breakout. That was really good. I mean, right on the tape too. But Taco. I mean, the kid last year, everyone was like, "Oh, he's so much stronger than he was," and he looks stronger. He looks stronger again this year. The opportunities are now here for him, and he's kind of taking advantage of it somewhat, and somewhat has it in other instances. So early in the year, he took advantage of it, and then kind of died, his play fell off a little bit. They went back to the kid line, whatever. Now he's taking advantage of it. I mean, what is he at? He has nine goals, 10 goals. What is he up to now? I think 9 goals now. So I mean, he has a chance to get close to 20 goals this year, which I think any Ranger fan would sign up for that immediately from him. But I mean, yeah, he's playing. He does and Heedle actually does it too. The circling around the zone, which is great. I love when he does that because he's so strong on the puck, and he's very good at like the arm shields. But you're not.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta like really toe the line between like holding the stick and like kind of like holding the guy off, and he has a really good job of doing that. But there's very few guys like you said that come off the half wall or either drive the net too. Like there's a lot of guys that don't drive the net anymore. And like Kreider, I mean, when was the last time we saw him take the puck like from the blue line, like to the blue paint? Like when was the last time he like came
Yeah.
crashing in? Like I know he's had breakaways, but like coming in on like a breakout, like coming in like your boy Julian Gauthier does it. I mean, he might
Oh
crash
yeah,
the net and
all
kill
time
somebody,
on the
but at
regular.
least he crashes the net a little bit.
Yeah.
But and I can't wait for tonight's game. Kreider's out tonight, and I don't think they've announced who's going to be on the first power play. Personally, I would like to see Trocheck probably move to the front net and have Heedle play the bumper where he plays on the second line, the second power play. But just wait until Barkley Goodrow's on the first power play tonight in front of the net, and Rangers Twitter just explodes. That's what I'm waiting for.
That would be such a bummer. I saw someone on Instagram, I think, put out the line combos for Power Play 2, and I asked Vince this. I didn't get a response, but I wanted to know who was on Power Play 2 now that, I think they confirmed that Lafreniere is going to be on Power Play
Oh,
1 now.
okay, good. Okay, good. All right.
So that would be great. And I saw someone say like Blaze on Power Play 2. Like, how could you not put like Kravtsov, Keandre Miller there? Like, if you're gonna have Troop out there, you should have Miller out there on the power play. I think two
I don't
defensemen.
know why Miller hasn't overtaken Truba yet in the power play. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't get it
I
either.
know, and maybe I asked Vince, might have been Colin. I forget which one I talked about that. Like, I asked Gallant, like what the deal with that is. I think the answer was they like his slap shot. Like they like his
That's true. Yeah.
shot, even though he can't hit the net. Like they like the shot from the outside. I mean, he scored was it one slap shot on this year? Like, I mean, yeah, he scored one time, but like Keandre, I understand he's younger. Maybe he takes more of a chance. They like True back there because he's a little bit more of a veteran with the young kids in the ice. Then I could give up maybe
Yeah.
an odd rush the other way. But I don't know. Keandre's so skilled. I mean, you see that talk about a guy who takes the puck to the net. Keandre Miller will take the puck to the net
Oh
as a
my gosh.
defenseman.
As a defenseman, it's
I
like you
mean,
don't expect it. It's the last thing you would expect, and then he just makes you look like an idiot when he
and
goes
he's
to that
so
like
freaking fast. He's like a gazelle. He's like 6'5", 220. And he's probably one of the fastest guys on the team. He's so athletic. It's incredible.
yeah.
And yeah, like I'm like if you could buy stock in like a player, like that's the guy like to buy all the stock in because he's 22 years old and he's just getting to where he needs to be now.
Yeah, he's playing the way that they thought he was going to play, like, when they drafted him. Like, now he's coming to his own. Defensively, offensively, it's all there. It's all there.
And
Um,
I love the fact that he's a Minnesota guy, but went to Wisconsin. Like Micheletti has to say it every game. Like, hey, he didn't go to Wisconsin, didn't go to Minnesota, but he went to Wisconsin. Every game he says it, and then every game they're like, yeah, he didn't play defense until he was 16 years old. Like, this is really crazy that he's this good already. So I love the fact that every game Micheletti says that. It cracks me up.
yeah, he's, like, naturally talented. It's so crazy to watch him pull off all these athletic plays. He's awesome. Yeah, I don't know why he's not on, power play too. It kinda reminds me, remember back in the day when the Rangers used to throw Girardi out there on the power play because of his slap shot.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a blast from the past there.
yeah, man. Oh, Ranger fans love that too.
Oh, yeah.
That's a guy. Girardi didn't. Him and Stahl got really crapped on there at the end, and they were two really good Rangers, and I really didn't like the way that they went out. And I know it was the end of their career, and they were slowing down. They were big defensemen. The game got faster, whatever. But I hated the fact that Ranger fans really didn't give them a nice exit.
Yeah, I know. It's just like they kind of wanted them to move on from him as he was getting older. And I'm starting to feel that like people are getting that way about Lindgren, like ahead of the fact because he plays such a similar way to Girardi. And they know that defenseman doesn't age well. Well, if
Yeah.
you take Ryan Lindgren away from this team right now, the Rangers are a worse team. You cannot argue that. Like he is so important to the team. Like, just think about like the clubhouse too, like the locker room. I'm getting my baseball talk mixed in there because I'm about to bring up Correa. But yeah, Lindgren blocks shots, like he hits people. He's always bleeding. He's always for the team. And that's a guy you want to have around. Like this, I know the group of guys that the Rangers have out there is a good mix, but he is 100% a team player. I would love to have him around. Like
Oh,
maybe don't trade him. Maybe don't trade him right as this contract expires. Maybe give him one more contract and then trade him or move on from him. Just don't make the same mistake as with Girardi. Like Girardi, they kept him over Keith Yandel, and they probably should have kept Yandel because he lasted a bit longer than Girardi, but hindsight's 2020. You favor the guy that's been with the organization for however many years to that point. I agree with you. Yeah, they didn't get like a good enough sign off as Rangers, Girardi and Stahl.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I love Lindgren. I've never said a bad thing about that guy. He's great.
Yeah, yeah. But I would love as much as I love Fox Lindgren as a pair, I would love to see what Fox and Keandre Miller would do. We saw a little bit of that on Saturday against the Devils. It's just a few offensive zone shifts, especially that one leading to the Rangers' third goal was just incredible. I think every single guy on the Rangers touched that puck before it went into the back of the net. Um, but that shift was incredible. If you don't use Fox Miller in the defensive zone, maybe just shelter them in the offensive zone. Use those guys. Just change it up every now and then, like because those guys would be good. And then Truba Lindgren on the back end, like in the defensive zone, that could be a pretty good pairing. I think
Yeah.
in the
I
defensive zone.
listen. You're preaching to the choir on that one. I've been saying put those two together, but even late in games, like Rangers are down a goal, down 2 goals, put
Yeah,
those two
yeah,
guys
yeah.
on the ice
Trade.
that to try to get a spark there. And
Yep.
even the other way, if you're up a goal, put the Lindgren and Trouba out there as two shutdown defensemen. I got no problem with that. It's kind of switching up that way. But Lindgren, I mean, you look at the numbers when the Rangers are when he's out, the Rangers stink. They have terrible numbers when he's out of the lineup. Like goals allowed goes up. Obviously, they their record is awful. So he's much more important to this team than I think a lot of people realize.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And it's not gonna be easy just shipping him away for Jacob Chikrin. And I think Chikrin might be hurt now. I don't know.
That's the deal everyone wants, right? That's the
Yeah. I
yeah.
think I think a Gavrikov would be a great pickup for the Rangers because he would almost be like a Kevin Klein where he's like good enough to be a top 4 defender, but like a top 6 defender. You know what I mean? Like if you have
yeah.
him and Schneider, that's a great pair.
I know, I know.
Braden Schneider's been playing really well too. Like he's playing with Harper, but he's pulling a lot of the work down there, and offensively, he's taking it up a notch too. I've noticed.
Another kid, 20 years old, like stepping up, looks great. I mean, the the Rangers' future looks so good, but the problem is they're in a win now, right now. So they
Right.
have all these young.
Yeah.
So the young kids have to contribute, which they are. Need a little bit more out of Lafreniere, a little more out of maybe Kako has to stay more consistent and he'll stay healthy. But like between the vets and the rookies and the younger players, this is like this is how you build a championship team. You have to have entry level guys win. Like look at Chicago's back in the day. Like they had the big players, they also had the entry level guys that came in and helped them out. So I mean they got the goalie. This is the time to move. Like this is it. Chris Drury has to make this happen now.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And you brought up Lafreniere, so we'll get into that. Opportunity is now for Alexis Lafreniere. He hasn't been playing the greatest. And the Ranger, it's very, very obvious that the organization's mindset is not, we're not going to just give you this opportunity. You have to take it and you got to earn it and earn your spot here. And much to the disagreement from many fans, possibly myself included, they don't. To me, it's like they don't want these guys like Lafreniere and Kako to become divas, like Jack Hughes was a couple years ago, like during the COVID year. He was running around complaining to the referees, slamming the penalty box. They don't want him to be like that, which I understand. They want him to be men, and like look at how Lafreniere is took the scratch. Like he took it like a man. He was just like, yeah, I know I could be playing better. I hope to come back in the lineup and make a contribution to the team. Like that's a very veteran like response, I would say, from someone so young. The maturity of these guys is very impressive. And Lafreniere now he does have an opportunity on his natural side on the left wing. A lot of people saying, the right wing may not be the best for him. Maybe it was throwing him off a little bit. I thought he played great to start the year with Panarin. Hopefully he could kick it up a notch with Zibanejad now on the left.
I think it's a confidence thing for him, right? I think when he has confidence, he looks great, and now he'll get the opportunity. And hopefully, that scratch was maybe a wake up call not only for him but for all the young kids on the team. Like, hey, listen, And I think Gallant, I feel like last year, like he kind of took Lafreniere more under his wing than anyone else with the style of play and everything. Kind of pushed that like heavy style play, similar to how Gallant played. Like he could score goals, but also can mix it up. And I think he saw I think he even said it during our press conference last year. Like, he saw like, a little bit of his game in Lafreniere. So I think he probably knew the kid could handle a scratch, and that's why he did it to kind of get him going, get the kids going. And I love the fact that when he got in the lineup the next game, he played well, and Harper gave him the hat at the end of the game, like kind of like, hey, like we're here for you, kid.
Oh
Like
yeah.
don't worry about it. Like that was pretty cool. Like that was like to see that, and then like the team, like the media team, texted a picture out of like him and Kravtsov, and it said like team guys or so, whatever it was. I was like, all right, like maybe this team like a little bit of an fu back to Gallant, like, hey, listen, like these are our guys, like stop messing with us. Like I think that was good. That was good, and they've played well since then, since they scratched. So, maybe it was a good wake up.
Did you see the comment that Panarin made? He's always funny in his interviews. About after the game against Minnesota, it's like Russian style, pass, pass, shoot. Turk
yeah,
doesn't like it, but we get the win.
yeah. Oh man, yeah, Panarin, he's the best is when he's like, I don't speak English and says like some crazy line in English afterwards. I love when he does
Yeah,
that kind of stuff
and he
too.
knows exactly what he's saying.
Exactly. He knows exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Lafreniere, he's got to. No matter what, I don't think he's keeping that spot on when Kreider comes back. I think Kreider's going to get inserted back there. Like you said, I think Gallant does. I'll agree with you. Gallant loves to keep Kreider's Banajad together, and it's worked out so far so much this year. Like Kreider's Banajad Kako has been like analytically their best line. I don't know if you follow all that stuff, but still, it's been one of their best lines. They may not be getting all the goals, but they completely dominated when they were on the ice against Minnesota. That was their
Yeah.
only line in the first period that was doing any work for the Rangers. Those are like the only five guys that showed up in the first period. I said this were Kreider, Zibanejad, Kakko, Fox, and Lindgren. And
Yeah.
then in the second period, and everybody started to wake up a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think, and Kreider, I feel like everyone was like, oh, he needs to score 50 goals again, which that's not going to happen. Like, listen,
No,
that was a lightning in the
yeah,
bottle season, but he's getting his goals. He's got, I mean, a lot of his deflections that were going in last year are hitting the post or side of the net or getting stopped, but him and Zibanejad just have that little connection and whatever it is. Like, Zuccarello had it when he was here. Like these guys just have these little clicks that just kind of works between the two guys. So hopefully they keep it going. But I mean, Adam Fox kind of came into that second period and said, "I'm going to take this game over," and basically just won the game by himself for the Rangers.
yeah. At this point, I don't know how he wouldn't be the front runner for Norris Trophy again. He's playing outstanding. I think he's been better than his Norris Trophy winning year. Certainly
I think
better
so
than
too.
last year.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, Foxy's got to go to the All-Star game. I don't know if he'll participate in it, but he's worth every penny on that contract so far, and he's playing outstanding. If they don't have him, he's like he'd probably be the Rangers Hart Trophy like nominee. Like if you take Fox away this year, I don't think they go on that winning streak that they were on, even
No, he's
though it was against
by
soft
far,
competition.
yeah, by far the most valuable player on the team, by far.
Yeah,
Maybe
for sure.
Igor, but yeah, but no, yeah,
Last year for sure was definitely Shesterkin, I would say,
yeah.
but with Shesterkin this year, a little bit of a rough go in the beginning, and then now he's starting to pick it up, which is good. All the pieces seem to be coming together for the. I was just about to say the Mets. Oh my gosh, I'm losing
We
it
can
here.
talk about the Mets. We'll talk about the Mets. Let's go. I know you want to talk about the Mets.
Yeah. I mean, baseball talk. The Yankees. I'll just say like the Yankees that starting rotation is looking like it's going to be pretty good. Cole, Rodon. Who they got? Frankie Montas.
Yep, Severino.
Severino is going to be. Hopefully, he stays healthy. That guy
I
never seems to catch a break.
I know. His stuff's so good too. If he stays healthy, and we got Cortez, Nasty
Yeah.
Nestor in there. Yeah, it's the best rotation the Yankees have had in years. Um, they gotta
It,
figure out what the hell they're doing at third base and shortstop, and left field. But other than that, team looks pretty good. I like the moves they made. I think they're better. They're clearly better than last year's team, just off starting pitching alone. Rondon seems like he's all about the New York life, which for some starting pitchers, obviously, even for Met pitchers, we've seen them fall apart in New York. So it seems like he's ready to kind of take on the heat of New York. But I mean, let's talk about your Mets because that's the story of New York right now. Is your boy Carlos Correa
yeah. Yeah.
going back to Minnesota?
I did not think he was going to go back to Minnesota. The Mets went from Eduardo Escobar to Carlos Correa, back to Eduardo Escobar as their third baseman. And I was like, I saw a report on what was it, on Monday, like Monday night or on Tuesday morning, like, oh yeah, this deal is official between the Mets and the and Correa. Like, we just got to. It's a matter of when, not if, now. And then all of a sudden, Jeff Passan's like, oh yeah, he's back to Minnesota, and the physical is passed, so he's going back to Minnesota. And yesterday it was the press conference, like, really, it was. But like the original feeling I had, like when I woke up that one morning, was like, really, we got Carlos Correa? Like, I was just like, I wasn't overly emphatic. Of course I was excited, but like, it was just like, wow, I was not expecting this. And then even when he just went back, just decided, nope, let's go back to Minnesota and get this guaranteed money. It still broke my heart, but at the same time now, I'm feeling like, okay, this was a nice thing. I think someone on SNY said it was a luxury, not a
Yeah.
necessity for the Mets. Um,
Well, they also have what's the kid, the Beatty, right? The third baseman. Like
yeah,
what?
Beatty, and they
He's
also
a
have
big time
Vientos.
prospect.
Yeah, yeah, they have guys. It's just they don't have it. They're not proven yet. So with the team being in win now mode, like the Rangers are with their young guys, like the Mets only have like one or two younger guys. Actually, like three. Like they have Beatty, Vientos, and Francisco Alvarez. Um, that are like the young guys that haven't really had many at bats at the major league level. Um, so I guess Buck Showalter's got to give him some run time next year. Escobar maybe shifts to a bench role or a platoon role. Um, we'll have to see. I think, and I'm like already coming up with mock trades for Otani. It's like I'll give up all three of those guys and Mauricio, and I don't know. The Angels, I don't understand how they have Otani and Trout, like two of the best players and maybe the two best players in Major League Baseball, and they can't figure out a way to get to October. I don't
I
I
think
don't understand what that is.
the thing with the Angels is like Otani's come out and said like I don't want to be here anymore, right? Like he's like I don't like the organization and they don't know how to win, and he's got 1 year left on his deal, so it's kind of like you hold on to him. He's clearly not resigning, so you want to trade him because you're gonna get something out of him for return. But how much of a return do you get? Because the guy clearly wants to play in a big market, so it kind of takes teams out. And then if teams know he's leaving, do you really want to give up all these prospects to get him? Like, they're in a rough spot, right? Like they're in a rough spot because like teams can say like the whole Carmelo Anthony thing was like, do you trade for him or do you wait for the off season because he's going to be a free agent? He knows he wants to come to New York, but get him now and it's guaranteed, like and the Knicks made the move, but I don't know. It puts the Angels in a tough spot. Puts
Right.
the Mets in a very good spot. It's very good for the Mets. The more he talks crap about the Angels, better off for the Mets.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. I would give
It's
up a
good.
hefty price for that.
It's gonna be a shame when he says he wants to come to New York, but he wants to play with pinstripes. Like that's gonna be a real tough blow to Mets fans. But no,
Yeah.
I mean Otani, no matter where he goes, I just hope he's gonna want to come to the East Coast because that's where the market is. That's where all the advertising money is and everything else. But like if he comes to the Mets or the Yankees, like that's so good for New York baseball, like just having a superstar like that in your market. I mean, it'll be tougher for Yankee fans to watch that, but like, hey, I get dragged to Met games all the time. I wouldn't mind seeing Otani out there.
Yeah, yeah. If he gets to free agency, I would put the Mets as the front runner just because Steve Cohen is not afraid to throw like to overpay by like 10, 20, $30 million
Oh
for a
yeah,
player. But if it's like a trade, it's a toss up between the Mets, the Yankees, and I would include the Dodgers in that. I don't know
yeah, I
how
guess
many
yeah.
prospects that they have, but a team that knows how to win and still a big market is like the Dodgers. Like they're in everything. Every single year they're in contention. They built a perennial lineup winner. It's a fantasy lineup that they have, like with Freeman and all those guys. Oh my gosh! Like, but
Well, that's another advantage. That's another advantage for the Mets. I don't think they would trade him to LA. I don't think they keep him in LA. I think they ship him out of town because they don't want to see their quote unquote crosstown rivals now have him.
It's a good point.
and then all your fans are gonna watch him play that. Like, I again, a good thing for the Mets. Like, I think this is really lining up well for the Mets. To be honest with you.
All right, yeah, I will take that. I will take that. Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do with Mike Trout. That's crazy because it's like I was talking to my friend yesterday. It's like I'm treating him like maybe you would treat Otani as like the McDavid and like Troutwood as the Drysdale because Otani is pitches every 5 days and he's in the lineup like every day. And
Yeah,
that's like McDavid level. Like McDavid is scoring points every single game. Like he's gonna get like 2 points every single game. And then like Trout has always been the best player. I don't know what the package would be. It,
it'd be
it's
huge.
hard.
It'd be
It's
huge.
hard.
It'd be huge.
Like if they were able to give up Soto, I think they were saying like, oh, the return for Soto wouldn't be enough. Like it's not even worth trading him, like because the value wouldn't work out. If Edmonton decided to up and trade McDavid right now, it would just be like, okay, it doesn't matter what you get back in return because it's not going to be worth the production that McDavid has given you.
I saw. I'm trying to think. They said like McDavid's worth like he's worth so much more in marketing dollars to Edmonton than like he ever would on the open market for like a trade. Like the money and exposure he brings to the organization is like you can't quantify it. Like it's millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, yeah. I
It's
see this.
crazy.
I see it kind of similar with like Otani and or Trout. I don't know where Trout would end up going if he's on a big contract. I don't know where he would go. I'm thinking like maybe the Phillies because
I would
that's
say
where.
Philly would take him in a heartbeat. That's his hometown. Like I feel
Right.
like, and I think he's got no trade, so he can probably tell you where he wants to go anyway. But yeah, I mean it's different because Otani's contract's up and Trout's, for lack of a better word, stuck there. So I mean he kind of has no real footing there. But Otani, well, I don't know who his agent is. Is it Boris? I don't know who it is, but if it's Boris, like that guy's just gonna pick where he wants to go, and they got to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel as confident with Scott Boris now. I don't know. He likes to pick on the Mets. I remember years ago the Mets were in like the fruit and produce section of the supermarket. Like he would pick on the Mets like because they had such a they're in a big market and they would spend like the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah. Well, the new ownership though now. New
Yeah,
owner. He
yeah.
likes deep pockets, and Stevie's got him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We'll transition. So this is the thing that I've been waiting for a while now. With the new year, with 2022 over, I wanted to talk with you top 5 favorite podcast guests of the year. Um, you always have somebody like a former player, coach, analyst, something like that every single week. I don't know how you do it for 52 weeks. Like that's crazy. I can't do it during the year. I'm like during the hockey season, it's like, all right, yeah, I'm not gonna chance it like with these guys. Like I don't think I'm gonna get a response, but you get it, and it's crazy. But let's go 5, like your fifth favorite to your first favorite.
It's tough doing I have top five. I don't know if I can say like a favorite.
Yeah, top 5,
Very
top
tough.
5.
Very tough. Top five. No particular order if anyone's listening. Top five. Tim Peel, former NHL ref that got thrown in the league for
Uh-huh.
the whole we'll give you one in the back end, kind of they threw him out for that.
We'll even up the
Um,
calls. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, even the calls up, yeah. But he came on after the Kako disallowed goal in the playoffs
Oh,
last
I
year,
did listen to that one. That
and
was
that was
cool.
awesome. That was awesome because he kind of broke it down with the play and everything. So that was very cool. And I messaged him at like 1 a.m. and I'm like, hey, because he was talking to people about the call, and I was like, hey, like, do you want to come on my podcast tomorrow morning at like 6 a.m. and get this out there before like everyone in the world can listen to it? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, that was so cool. He was so cool, great guy. Hopefully, you can get him back on because he wants to tell some stories about like his time in the league. He told like one quick Sean Avery like story about him being an ass, but like he still liked him. But so I want to get him back on because he said he's got countless stories. So he was awesome. Stanley Cup guys. I had Glenn Healy on. Like he is just the funniest guy in the world. Like immediately making jokes as soon as we got on this call. Like he was awesome. The guy he told a story which I'm actually going to put out today on our social from this week's episode, but he told us about losing the Stanley Cup. Like, that is incredible. Like, the loss of Stanley Cup in New York City. Like, that's hilarious. Um, Steve Larmer, he was awesome. Just should be a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
Just a great guy. It was very cool to get to talk with him because he doesn't do a lot of interviews, so it was very
I don't
cool.
think the Rangers win that cup without Steve Larmer.
9
Honestly,
goals
like
in those playoffs.
he had some huge goals in that playoff run. Like,
Yeah.
I remember when I was little, I used to watch the documentaries like all over and over again. And it would get to certain points in the game where they needed a goal, and it was Steve Larmer that got him the goal.
Yep, 9 goals and four in the Stanley Cup Finals. So yeah,
Yeah.
big time player, big time underrated guy in that team. Now this might be a surprise to you, but during the playoffs last year, also I had some really good guests that came on that previewed some series and stuff, and I got Linda Cohn on, and she is awesome. She is the biggest Ranger fan you'll ever talk to. The diehard Ranger fan, like incredible. We could have talked for hours, the two of us, but we talked about the Eastern Conference Final last year, and she was someone who I've watched since I was literally in diapers, probably like on ESPN. So that was very cool.
She's been with SportsCenter for such a long time.
Yeah, so that was very cool to get her on. And then Stan Fischler was awesome too, by the way. That it had him on there in the playoffs too. But
Yeah.
And then I had Brandon Prust on, and I love Brandon Prust.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
was the
watched that
biggest
one. That
Brandon
was a good
Prust
one.
fan. I got the Rangers. I was upset when he cheap shotted Stepan during the playoffs. I mean, what are you doing? So yeah, we talked about all that kind of stuff. But yeah, he was a cool one to get on. But yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's so many more that I enjoy every guest they get on because I learn all about them, and I feel like I get a little connection to the guy. And but yeah, it's awesome. And I think I know who your number one will be. I hope it's that. Because I retweeted that tweet about 17,000 times and whatever else about getting him on the show, so it better be him. But let's hear your list.
All right, I'll start. I'm with you on I love all my guests and stuff. I'm always very appreciative of them. Number 5 this year for our 2022 for me was on my 100th episode. I've had him on a couple times. Vince Bercogliano, you've spoken to him. Great guy. I think he's a great reporter. I'm going to school for journalism right now. I'm in my master's program, and everything I've learned, it's like he is doing that stuff, and it's awesome to see. His podcast is great. Vince Bercogliano, fellow Italian too. He's a good one.
Super guy.
Yeah. Number 4, Craig Berube. This was
Chief.
that was a wild, Chief. That was a wild one to get him on the show. Like, my kindergarten gym teacher goes to my place of work all the time, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, my friend from high school is married to Craig Berube. You want me to get you his number?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And like, not thinking it would actually, it would be like one of those things where it's like someone says, "Oh, I know this guy. I can give you this guy's number," and it's just like, yeah. And then like literally minutes later, I'm in a group chat with Craig Berube, and he's already responding to me. The guy is awesome. Like, I texted him on his birthday, and I'm like, "Hey, Chief, happy birthday. Hope it's a good one." He's like, "Thanks. I'm in Vancouver eating seafood and drinking beer." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. That's awesome." Number 3, Mike Rupp, great analyst. I used to love him on the Rangers. He only played like one full year, and then the start of 2012, 2013 before they traded him. Great guy. What's funny is have you seen the documentary on Netflix, The Untold Crime and Penalties?
Yeah,
With
yeah.
the Danbury Trashers, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So the night before I had Rupp on, I watched that documentary, and I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I had no idea that Rupp was on that team. And then when I saw him there, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Mike Rupp is here. I have to ask him about this tomorrow." So I quickly added the question. I talked to him about it. We talked about third lines, how they're the biggest difference maker in the playoffs because it was around April-ish, right after the trade deadline. That was great. Number 2 for me is Don LaGreca, one of my biggest idols, Somerset, New Jersey native, so literally right up the road from me. Works on the Michael Kay show, backup radio play-by-play guy. I think he does a great job. You've spoken to him as well. Um, I talked to him about Dave Maloney, and when I was 14, like 13, 14 years old, I remember like when Donnie was starting out in the booth, like with on the radio, and Dave would always like interrupt him when the Rangers scored a big goal, like in the Rangers and Penguins playoff game in 2014. Like Pouliot scores, and it was actually Broussard who got the game winner. But like when Pouliot scored, you would just hear this, yeah, like from Maloney, and
The
it's like,
scream, yeah.
yeah, the scream, the Maloney scream. They always do that on the Michael K show whenever Donnie's telling the story. Like, so I had to talk to him about that. That was just great to talk to Don. Such a nice guy. But yeah, number one has got to be Kevin Weeks.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, it has to be.
Yeah, I don't know what more I could say about the guy. Such a nice person. It was I didn't give up. Like once I got like 15 days in and 7 days in, like I'm getting Weeks to like the thing. I'm like, all right, I gotta keep going until he says yes. So like it would always just be like a like or like just a like from Kevin Weeks. It was just like literally minutes after posting. It's like, all right, yeah, Kevin Weeks like day 7 of hashtag asking for Weeks. And it's just like, all right, yeah, let's fast forward. What is that? Another 74 days. And here he is on the podcast. But yeah, like if you're a podcaster or whatever and you want to get these big guys on, you got to be persistent. You never give up. And if it weren't for Kyle and that big podcast group, this wouldn't have happened. That would not have happened. Like he's just like he even mentioned it too. He's like, yeah, you got a lot of supporters out there, man. Like you got a big group of people out there. I'm like, oh yeah, I do.
I was smiling ear to ear when I saw that guy. I'm like, this guy did it. He got him. This is awesome. And then like I was like nervous for you. I was like, all right, I'm waiting like for the thing to go live, and sure enough, like Weeksy's face pops up. I'm like, yes, he made it. He's on.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was I was a little nervous too, and like before I started, I'm like, all right, let me pray that he shows up. Pray that he shows up. Like just pray. And then he texts me like on a call, be on in 5. I'm like, yes, okay. He hops on. And he's coolest guy in the world. And you know what's funny? It's just like you tell him like, all right, yeah, just 15, 20 minutes. An hour later goes by and I'm still talking to the guy. It's like, oh. I'm sure you understand that. You've done that plenty of times with your guests.
So many times. So I'm like, oh, there's a half hour, 45 minutes in. I'm like, do you have more time? They're like, oh, yeah, we'll go for another 10 minutes. All right, perfect.
Yeah, 10 minutes, and it's like 20 minutes later.
I'm trying to think who it was. Like, I always like put like a list of questions on a piece of paper, right? So I have it in front of me.
Of course.
And I picked it up, and they're like, oh, how many questions you got on that? Because they're like, oh, I need like a half hour of your time. I'm like, don't worry, it's like a half hour's worth. And they're like, I don't know, it's like a lot of questions. I'm like, yeah, we'll get it done. Don't worry about it. And like an hour and 15 minutes later, like, okay, thanks so much.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we'll see you next time. And big guest. Like, I have some huge ideas for the new year. I'm sure you do as well. Like, the 94 thing is really cool. The Brandon Prost episode was great. I remember I was listening to that in the car. Like, I don't drive too often, like to far places, but that was one where I was driving, like a pretty significant distance. So I put that in the car, and that was good. Sitting in traffic on the highway, and that's the best time to listen to podcasts, like when you're driving and stuff. That's when I listen to Vince's podcast, when I listen to your podcast. Lots of good stories there. Yeah.
Thank you for always listening. Yeah, no, I mean, between the two of us, we've had some great guests this year, and it's really cool because we've gotten together a bunch of times on this show and talk to each other obviously a lot. But Rangers Twitter has been super with helping out with like, you need a guest, we put something out there, like people retweet it, they get on it, like they help us out, and it's awesome. It's really cool to see that the Raiders community on that. There's a lot of bad people, a lot of like sour apples out there, but there's a lot of really good people, and it's been pretty cool to see. And your show, I remember we first met, like you had a co-host at first.
Kyriakos,
yeah, you've run away with this thing, man, since you've been solo, so congrats on everything you've done.
Yeah, man, thank you. Yeah, and once again, congrats to you. Ice Cold Takes fans, thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. Make sure you go check out Kyle Hall's podcast, the Broadway Hat Podcast. If you want to listen to interviews and hear stories from people's playing days. Oh, wait, Mark Recchi. Did you have Mark Recchi?
No, I haven't had Mark Rickey. No.
Wait, who is the guy that you had? Oh my gosh, he used to play for the Cap. Knuble.
Mike
Knuble.
Knuble, yeah. Yeah, Mike
Yes,
Knuble, yeah.
that was another good. That was another good one
Yeah, big. Yeah, he was awesome too. Another guy who I said I need 20 minutes with, and ended up talking to him for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Like the Ovechkin stories were cool. Like all things considered, now that he's going for the goal, like with the goal scoring record, um, it's crazy to hear about all of that. Like I'd love to hear what he would have to say about all of it right now. I can't remember if you asked him like if he thought Ovechkin was going to break. He probably does think that.
Yeah, I did. He said, yeah, he's definitely gonna break it.
Yeah.
He was kind of like he's not gonna stop. Like he's gonna go. Like he's a machine. Like he's not gonna stop.
Yeah, for sure. I think Ovechkin's going to break that. It's not a matter of if, it's going to be when.
Yeah,
He's going to play
and
out the rest of that contract.
guy gets better and better every year. He's crazy. Yeah, he's still going.
Yeah, he's crazy. All right, well, Kyle, thanks so much for doing this with me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, buddy.